Yeah, thank you very much, my sisters, for that enlightenment. Now, you mentioned about the slow process in the legal procedures. Have you thought of a way of coming up with the specialized courts? I think last year when we were here, we had our sisters from Zambia who mentioned about they have a process of specialized courts, provision of specialized courts. We in Kenya, we are advocating for that. Do you have such a process whereby you want these cases to be processed first due to their peculiar nature?
Ladies? Halima? Agatha? Cecilia? Let's go. One of you is there a fast track?
Yeah. The jurisdiction, we have what we can call specialized. Yes. Thank you. We have what we can call specialized courts in Nigeria. The Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to take NAPTIP cases. The Federal High Court does. It's not just any court. And once it is processed by NAPTIP, they have prosecutors. So it's a case that the Federal High Court handles all the time.
And you actually have a fast track, but when you mentioned the slow process, were you talking about the slow process being the rehabilitation of survivors? Is that what you meant when you mentioned the slow process?
Yes, the slow process is not about adjudication. The slow process of actually sorting out these victims by NAPTIP, by the agency. Sometimes when you have government initiative, it may not be as fast as you would think if you're a private practitioner or something, but because there are many. So the process with NAPTIP may be slow. But when it comes to coming to court, I think the issue of adjudication is very straightforward, and most of them are strict liability offenses, and they are well handled at the level of the court.
Thank you. So, Jane, you're next.
Thank you for the good presentations. I have two questions. One to Agatha. You talked about your recommendation being, instead of having closed shelters, we have open shelters. What are your views on open shelters vis-a-vis the security of the victims? Let me ask the next question so that I don't waste time. The second question is to Cecilia. It's very good that Nigeria is doing so much in rehabilitation. But your last point, you talked about sports being a good measure for the victims because they will forget what happened in the past. But because of the trauma, I doubt that they'll forget. But my question is that a short-term plan, or are they integrated into more serious sporting activity, becomes a profession, or is it a hobby? How are you going about it as a country? Thank you.
So Agatha, you first, and then Cecilia will answer, huh?
For the open system, because I said the closed shelter system makes them feel as if that the suspects, as if that no one is victim, but the suspects, or rather the accused. Yes, in terms of security, I'm sure that's why you're concerned. Once the suspect has been taken into custody, being prosecuted, and measures being seen that he's going through prosecution and all that, the fear reduces. Mind you, most of these traffickers are known. They are known because you see, in most cases, it's the friends, family members, confidants that traffic these persons, And once the incident comes out into public knowledge, that person automatically becomes a baby of everybody. Everybody is out to protect the person. And keeping the person away now frightens even the would-be traffic people from knowing that this is what is happening, or this is the measures the government or the law enforcement is taking to curb the crime or to punish the suspects. So I don't, in terms of security, I don't think it's an issue, because eventually they will be released. If the security is a problem, what of eventually when they come out from that shelter? They cannot be there forever. So it is not an issue, in my own estimation.
Cecilia, do you want to address your question?
Rehabilitation, it's not a single a day's job. It's a process, I say that. It has to take time. And in rehabilitation, you will need psychologists. You will need a good environment for you to be able to come out of your trauma. It is not something that you can forget just like that. You can't wish it away. You cannot wash it away. But at least after some time, you talk about sports. It may not be a profession, except you are cut out to be a sportsman. And at the end of the day, you may not even think of going into sports as a profession. But at least it allows you to find your feet. It allows you at that time when you are possibly in shelter or in the process of moving out from rehabilitation to reintegration, allows you to do so many things. And you stop thinking deeply about where you are coming from and where you are going, and you meet more people, they can talk to you, they can bring all this bad feeling out of you, out of your system. So I think sports, as I said, is a good way. Not only the only way, it is one of the ways that you can get back into society, meeting people. Sports allows you to meet a lot of people.
I have two questions. Are there long-term studies, either medical or psychological studies, of the survivors of trafficking in your country or in other countries in Africa? Do these people have increased health problems, decreased long-term longevity after they've been trafficked, number one? And number two, you talked about a challenge in educating coworkers about how to behave, how to interact. How do you actually do that? Is this a public education that you're talking about? I'm interested to hear that.
It's that area that this new NGO is going to look into. I do not think government initiative is enough. I do not think that they are doing enough. And there are areas, there are aspects that the government may not be talking about. Devoting medical personnel solely to the use of the shelter, it may not really happen. If you have simple ailments, doctors are there. But when it comes to rehabilitation, whether you need a psychologist to talk to you about one or two things, they may not be providing it. But with intervention, one can advise government, you do this, do that, and you can work along with government to be able to streamline those areas which you believe will be needed for rehabilitation.
You have a comment, I'm sorry, yes.
I was going to say, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Remy. I'm a judge of the Federal High Court of Nigeria. I was going to say that in Nigeria, the volume of trafficking we're talking about is not something for which we can depend on government. It needs a lot of awareness from the general populace. We also need a lot of volunteers, people who are willing to put in financial help, NGOs, trained workers, and just generally to see to the welfare of these people. It would never, ever be enough to rely on government in this quest to get, to erode trafficking completely in Nigeria. No. It needs awareness and, volunteers, just kind-hearted people who want to demonstrate some responsibility to the society and spend money and time and other things to put things in place. Thank you.
Is there increased suicide among the trafficking survivors in Nigeria? You don't have suicide? That's good.
It's okay, thank you. This is to Cecilia. You talked about the government bringing in legislation that aliens have to be registered by 12th January. I'm just wondering, how is the government encouraging this process to be done? Because as an alien, if I were there, there's a fear that I could be deported, or, Nigeria is a large country, so just share with us how the government is encouraging those who are affected to do this, the registration.
It's not physical registration, although that does not stop government from taking you out. It is e-registration, and we believe that will help in identifying those young children that are brought into Nigeria to work as nannies and house helps, because we have a lot of children under 10 years, some of them 8 years old, working right now in Nigeria from neighboring countries. And with this, we believe that when that is done, we, like Helping Hands, we are involved in helping, because we believe that that is the way for us to fish out those encouraging trafficking. And it's e-registration. By 12th of January, if you have not done it, then you have to be deported if you are found, if you are caught. Whoever has you in their custody will go to jail for 7 years or pay a fine of 1 million naira, or both. So I think it's a good initiative.
Thank you. Christina's next, and then Gabriela, and then I don't know if any of the Latin sisters want to speak. Go ahead.
Okay.
Christine.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentations. My question is still on the issue of rehabilitation and reintegration. Coming from what Blessing had shared about the issue of shame and looking at the family aspect, I would like to know on the issue of the reintegration, are you in contact with the families of these members that you're trying to reintegrate, and how does the society take them, coming from the aspect of the shamefulness of what the victim feels at that point when they're coming back to the society?
By the time you are going back to your family, if you are able to identify your family and you want to go back to them, by the time you are doing that, you will have had some exposure, some measure of confidence. Because it's just as I said, it is a process. It's a process. It is hard work, even for the victim. A victim must be ready and willing to be rehabilitated. If that victim is not ready, it is difficult. The victim will go back to the family. The issue of shame is something that we hope by the time he's going back, even if it's there, it will be totally reduced, because stigmatization in African society is there. It's not something that you can just wash away or wish away. The family will have been educated about this circumstance and the situation of the victim. So it's not a one-day thing. It cannot be a one-day thing, rehabilitation. Reintegration, it's also going to be a very gradual process, but it is doable, it is achievable.
Okay, thank you. Gabriella?
So accept, yes.
Yes, please. I want to say, add more to what my colleague said. This trafficking in Nigeria mostly is from one zone, the Edo State. Yes, Delta. They are still Edo, Benin, the old Benin dynasty. In that place, the issue of shame does not arise. In fact, traditionally, slavery was very rampant in that region. So that someone is trafficked is not news, because in every home in that state, somebody has been trafficked, because technically, they encourage it. Because those that are trafficked, the victims, when they come back, they also see, I mean, the younger ones looking up to them to show them the way. So they're even heroes, sort of. They want to be shown the way. But the good thing now is that the series of the heads of, the wives to the state governments in that state has taken it upon them to sensitize the people, to tell them that they don't have to use their girl children to enrich the family. So with that sensitization now, the mothers, the parents are getting to know, that their mindsets are changing. Their mindsets are changing, that they can put their children to better use instead of this trafficking business. So the amount of shame does not even arise. It's not an issue there. Because even when they're sent home, they're making plans to go back again. That is the reality. Yeah.
And I was going to say that still talking about the issue of shame, families in the south of Nigeria usually welcome their daughters back, because when they are brought to court and that plea is taken, the lawyer puts in an application for bail, conditions are given which are to be met before they can be released, and their families come forward to meet the conditions and take their daughters home. That's one. Secondly, it would appear that families whose children have not been trafficked kind of look up at those who are coming back trafficked, or those who have not even been able to come back. They look at it as a way of going out to make life better for family members who are within Nigeria, like probably going out to bring back the golden fleece. That's the way it would appear, and it happens that way. But now, with a lot of pressure, with NAP tip and the penalties being meted out, I think things are beginning to calm down, and there's a lot of awareness created in the states in the South by a lot of women leadership, wives of the governors, and so many people just trying to explain that it's not the way to go.
Thank you. Gabriella?
And then,
Oh,
and then I talked about awareness. A lot of awareness is happening, and more will happen, given the fact that there are new NGOs coming up trying to make the people aware that it's a wrong thing to do, and it's just not proper to traffic your children. Because some people actually do voluntarily traffic their children. But I believe these NGOs will put a stop to that, and they would realize that there's more to life than asking your child to go out and bring back riches, as they think. Thank you.
So I have a question. I've been hearing the issue of surrogacy come up yesterday and today. And I wanted to ask, I watched a documentary a few years ago called Google Baby, and it was about surrogacy in India and the whole industry that was created there. And it was mainly for Israeli couples, and I'm not sure, I think an Italian couple went for to use a surrogate mother in India at one point, but then the baby was not allowed into Italy because we have very tight laws about this. So I was wondering, can anybody elaborate a bit more on this, on surrogacy that's happening in your countries? And do you know who the couples are? Who is commissioning it? Is it an industry? A little bit more about that. Thanks.
I don't think we have so much of surrogacy in Nigeria. It exists, not that it doesn't, but I don't think it's of such a high percentage in Nigeria. Some people do, but I don't think it's, it has not attracted so much attention, and it's not, I mean, it's not official. But I believe that if you search and you really look, you would find surrogacy happening. It's just that it's being kept quiet, but it's not of a large percentage.
I think we cannot really describe it as surrogacy as we have in the US or Britain. But I know, just like Justice Okeke has stated, that they sell babies. You have girls, young girls, you keep them in a place, they call it orphanages. But they are not, they are just pretentious establishments. They keep them there, they are pregnant, they have the babies are harvested immediately and sold out to couples looking for children. Yes, that happens in Nigeria. A lot in the southeast, in the southeast. Not sold to couples, yes. Maybe sold to couples. I must let you know that personally, I don't know where these babies end. All I know is that they do have orphanages where they will have young girls. They will deliver those babies. They will never see those babies again. Some churches do it in Nigeria. Some churches do it in Nigeria. It's not something that is so well publicized. But you know that we've had one or two cases in the public arena, particularly in the southeast.
Other comments about
Yes,
surrogacy?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Please,
Yes.
Agatha.
Yes, surrogacy, like my sister said, is not same as is known or same meaning like in Western countries. The surrogacy, I know, like in US, we still have it in Nigeria, which is legal, processed through the courts. The parents are known, or the parents, then they have a surrogate mother, and it's processed through the hospital. That one is surrogacy. But this one differs from what we are talking about, because what we are talking about is a form of abuse, trafficking, where you where somebody disappears, maybe at early pregnancy, one month or two, the person is not seen anymore. Even the family will not know where the person is housed somewhere till he puts to bed. He finds whoever that impregnates the woman is not known, because they have some people they pay that come. It's a form of also like prostitution, if I may say. So they keep, it's like a warehouse that they're kept in there and churn out babies till maybe 2, 4, or thereabouts before, and the money that they are paid goes to their madam, to the owners of that warehouse place. So that is not surrogacy as I know it, and that one is the illegal practice which government from time to time, when they get to know about it, they arrest them, pull down the place. In fact, there's one I read about in the news about 2 weeks ago. They discovered it from somewhere. I don't know, is it Owerri? I don't know how the girl ran out or how they knew something like that was happening in there. And they were able to rescue so many girls that were sort of imprisoned in that place, and the children, which they now took out officially to the orphanage.
She had a comment, then
Merci.
Blessing.
En fait, moi, je pense qu'il faut avoir deux compréhensions de la question qu'elle a posée. Premièrement, lorsque c'est une gestation pour autrui, c'est qu'on a trouvé une mère qui va porter l'enfant d'un couple. Et là, c'est volontaire. Mais il faudrait encore que ça soit légal dans le pays. Il y a des pays qui n'ont pas admis la gestation pour autrui, comme la France. Et les personnes qui font ce genre de choses trafiquent les enfants. Finalement, ils prennent de l'argent chez les parents, ils gardent la mère porteuse dans un lieu sûr et finalement leur remettent l'enfant lorsqu'il est conçu, lorsque le couple, la jeune dame accouche. Donc moi j'estime que c'est de la traite. Que ça soit en amont ou en aval, c'est de la traite. L'autre aspect, c'est lorsque on met de côté des jeunes dames, on les fait engrosser par des inconnus et à la naissance des enfants, on prend les enfants pour aller les vendre à des couples en demande, c'est aussi de la traite. Donc moi j'estime qu'à partir du moment où ce n'est pas dans un cadre légalisé, on est face à une question de traite. Donc pour répondre à sa question, je vous remercie.
Blessing, did you want to make a comment?
Thank you for this question on surrogacy. Haven't been in Italy for 6 years, and I've worked with so many girls that have a lot of story to tell, right from the story that they have from their home, from their various family, the life they lived in Nigeria. Then from here, I have a wider vision of my society, because I believe that the lower class in the society, I believe that they have a lot of things to say about their society. I believe they are more current, because the higher class in the society only read news and newspaper, which many of the things that happen in the society are not really carried by the media. Having worked with these girls, I discovered that many of the girls, they share their story on how many of them have had 3 children and they never see these 3 children. On how many of them had children, they were trafficked, deceived to have children, and from there, after having these children, maybe they must have lost their womb, then they will resell them. All these are happening in Nigeria and happening to Nigerian women. But nobody knows about it. The problem, number one problem that we have in Nigeria is that we are not documented. Nigerian citizens are not documented. At times I work also with the commission, with the territorial commission. They ask for identity card, Nigerian identity card. But they don't have it because it doesn't exist. Yes, there are local governments where they can go to take their document of state of origin. But it's not everybody that is informed about this, and it's not compulsory, it's not obligatory for a Nigerian child or Nigerian parents, after having her child, to go to the local government to document that child. It doesn't work. Our system does not work that way. And this is one of the things, this is one of the problems we have in Nigeria, that we are unable to get the real facts, the real statistics, and the real thing that is happening in the society. Because many people, this thing is happening, surrogacy is happening in Nigeria. But many of us, we don't know, not until these people share their story. And we will not know. And the media, they are not aware of this story, because it's when when the media carry this story, that is when it will get to the ears of some people. Thank you.
Yes, it's interesting. Without birth data, Nigeria also lacks death data. And of course, when we think about burden of disease, we think about what challenges you have in your country. If we don't have that data, or if we don't know what people are sick from, registries of patients with kidney failure or patients with liver failure, we can't plan, no one can plan. But so you're absolutely right. We hear about it in the media, and that brings it to our attention. Monsignor, you wanted to make some comments.
First of all, I'm very, very interested in this discussion. I think it's very important. But I want to ask another question that is this. We know the presence more and more important of the Republic of China and the program of the Republic of China of Belt and Road, maybe you know, a sort of help for the other people. When I was in Nigeria, we see the work of the Chinese people in the construction of ways and other things. So my question is, this presence of China, in what sense, in what relation have with traffic, have some relation with the trafficking, or what is the relation, new form of colonialism, or not, what is it?
Of course, that's a great question. And many countries in Southeast Asia resent the presence of China and feel it is a form of colonization. But we're interested to hear what the judges from Nigeria feel, or the judges from Morocco. Our friends from Kenya. Is China perceived as bad as the US?
Well, I don't think so, because in Nigeria, any foreign contractor that comes to Nigeria, expectedly there is usually a legal contract to execute certain contract. The money is estimated, terms of agreement are written, terms of payment are also written. So to us, of course, every country executes contract. And sometimes they borrow loan from either country to country, World Bank, African Development Bank, and all these things. And it's sometimes those monies that they use to execute the contract. I know maybe China came with some money to Nigeria to execute some contracts, and that the terms of contract are written. Nigerians are educated. Long after now, there's no way China can colonize Nigeria to a certain extent, because I see that Nigerians are certainly not going to agree. Nigerians will certainly expect that it is going to, they're strictly going to go by the terms of contract executed. So we don't see it as a form of slavery or a form of colonization or something of that nature. People see it from that perspective, but we don't see it from that perspective, because we've gone into agreement with so many countries. It's not only China. I know we have contracts with the United States, the UK. It's not only the Chinese companies that we have executing contracts in Nigeria. In fact, China just came recently. Over the years, we have Julius Berger. I don't know whether I think it's a German company. So many countries, so many companies like that. They execute contracts. They are paid their contracts. Maybe it takes over years, but they eventually pay their money. So at the end of the day, they don't even bring, the issue of colonization does not even arise. That's the way we see it. We don't see it that way. Maybe people see it that way for us. Thank you.
Olorima, do you want to make a comment?
I agree with my lady Halima that there are legitimate contracts with the Chinese and that they actually come in and enter into agreement and do whatever work they're supposed to do. But on the other hand, I think that just as there are legitimate contractors and contracts and builders, there is also another side. I know, as she has said, that there used to be Julius Berger and some other construction companies who come in. But my personal opinion is that the Chinese probably came in because of cheap labor and materials that are really not too, well, not very good. That's on one side. They're still doing legitimate work. They enter into contracts and they're working with government and maybe some individuals. But there is the other side. I have, for example, heard that this matter of sale of human parts we're talking about is being perpetuated. I have no proof, and I haven't come across any in any of my court, any case of such in my courts. But people say it's social media and all that, that you cannot exactly extricate the Chinese for some of these happenings. Now, whether it can be proven or put on the pages of newspapers is another thing. But you can't take away the fact that there is definitely another side that is not same as the legitimate contracts, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Just going back to your question. For us in Kenya, the biggest gripe, if I would say, about the Chinese is the game trophy trafficking, in the sense that Kenya relies very heavily on its wildlife and its tourism, and we were losing a lot of animals, the elephants and rhinos, because they like the tusks and the rhino horn. So a lot of pressure was brought to bear to get China to do away with purchasing of game trophies, which to a great extent I think they have done. But that really was, for Kenya, one of the biggest problems that we had. As for human trafficking now, that the game trophies is maybe behind us. We're not very sure as yet, because we still hear cases of trophies being exported to different parts of the world, mainly to China. I guess that's maybe the next frontier. We don't know, but for now, that's the position. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if Monsignor was expecting that, but that's very interesting and very interesting to me. Agatha, and then you, but Agatha first and then you. And Mina, did you want to say something? I thought I saw your hand up before. Okay, Agatha, go ahead.
Just to buttress what my sister said, there's a great concern in Nigeria now about the intent of the Chinese government in Nigeria. Seemingly, they come in the form of legal contracts, but there are so many things going on underneath. There are lots of undocumented Chinese people in Nigeria. There are some even unaccessible places where Chinese people hold Nigerians in detention, and even their own people that are undocumented. Once they come into the country, they take away their travel documents. And more worrisome is that Chinese schools now teach Nigerian local dialects in their school. In China, that even Nigerians can't even speak, because Like we are here, we are from 3 different tribal spread in the country. I'm from the southeast, she's from the north, and my lords are from the west. None of us understand each other's dialects, but all these dialects are being taught in Chinese schools and now. So for what purpose? I believe they have an intent. So I really agree that it may be another form of colonization in the making.
That's very interesting. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Excuse me? You had a comment? Yes? Sorry.
Je voudrais donner l'exemple de la Côte d'Ivoire par rapport à la question qui a été posée par Monseigneur. En Côte d'Ivoire, il y a beaucoup de rumeurs qui circulent sur les Chinois à propos des Chinois. On entend dire que les Chinois font des propositions de travail aux Ivoiriens, en particulier aux jeunes Ivoiriens, mais lorsqu'ils arrivent en Chine, ils les tuent pour prélever leurs organes. Ce ne sont que des rumeurs. Aucune juridiction n'a été saisie d'une plainte concernant ce genre d'affaires, donc nous mettons ça sur le compte des rumeurs. Et nous pensons que les Chinois en Côte d'Ivoire sont tellement discrets qu'on ne peut pas dire qu'ils viennent pour nous coloniser. Donc c'est ce que j'avais à dire à ce propos.
Well, I can't really endorse your concerns, your fears. I mean, I think China is taking over us all, but I don't think they're taking our organs. But I would like to learn from, that is a rumor. I don't think it's true. Are there other comments, or are you all hungry? Ladies, Nigerian friends, sisters, do you have comments for us? I'm sorry. Yes, please, go ahead.
Poser une question très pratique. La plupart d'entre nous, nous sommes ici membres de l'Association internationale des femmes juges. Alors, je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire en tant que membre de l'Association internationale des femmes juges pour lutter contre ce trafic. Est-ce qu'il faut le faire dans un cadre légal, c'est-à-dire par notre ministère, ou nous sommes nous-mêmes une force pour pouvoir le faire? Parce qu'on ne peut pas ne peut pas perdre de vue que nous sommes la plupart du temps des agents de l'État. Est-ce que vous pensez que nous avons la possibilité de nous mouvoir nous-mêmes, de prendre des initiatives en dehors du ministère de la Justice dont nous nous dépendons? Donc c'est une question vraiment pratique. Merci.
Muy buenos días. En primer lugar, quiero agradecer a la Academia Pontificia de las Ciencias y a Monseñor Marcelo Sánchez Orondo haber recibido a la Asociación Internacional de Mujeres Jueces por 3er año consecutivo en esta academia. Y nada menos que para tratar este tema dramático en el que la asociación viene trabajando desde hace muchos años con programas de capacitación para jueces en diferentes países del mundo. En este momento estamos trabajando en Haití y en República Dominicana. Y una vez por año vamos cambiando distintas regiones y distintos países en el mundo. Así que tomo esta preocupación de la hermana tanto de Nigeria como de Kenia, que veo que realmente es un drama humano el que están viviendo, para ayudarlas en capacitación y perfeccionamiento judicial respecto del tema. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Mina, you had a comment. First, Mina, did you have a comment? Mina? And then Priscilla.
Je vais reprendre le sujet de la Chine et la traite. En fait, rien n'est écarté. C'est possible. On n'a rien remarqué au Maroc, mais rien n'est écarté puisque c'est un crime qui est international. En fait, le visage chinois est maintenant, aujourd'hui, il est familier au Maroc. Il y a beaucoup de Chinois. C'est un accord entre les gouvernements pour l'investissement. Je suis pour l'investissement, non pas comme juge, mais comme citoyenne. Je suis pour l'investissement. Mais je voudrais un investissement qui est de bonne qualité. Vous savez que tout ce qui est importé au Maroc, c'est que de la camelote, c'est pas une bonne qualité. D'accord, il y a des investisseurs des États-Unis, de la France, de l'Espagne, mais c'est une bonne qualité, je suis avec. Mais je crois que le fait qu'il y a beaucoup de personnes, beaucoup de Chinois, ça me rappelle le film de les Chinois à Paris. Il y a beaucoup de Chinois et ils vivent dans des centaines dans un seul appartement. Il y a des gens qui se plaignent de fausses personnes comme les guides, les faux guides, les personnes qui ne sont pas sérieuses, Ce qui fait, on peut douter. On peut douter en tant qu'il y a qui peuvent, c'est une doute, qui peuvent être aussi des personnes qui organisent des réseaux dans un pays qui est la porte de l'Europe, entre l'Afrique et l'Europe. On peut douter en ce qui concerne leur présence, mais en tant que juge, on ne peut pas trancher dans ce problème, parce qu'on n'a pas de données, on ne peut pas savoir. Mais voilà, les Chinois maintenant, ils sont présents en Afrique.
Okay. Thank you very much. What I'd like to ask a question and make it, or maybe a comment, because I've been listening to the presentation from Nigeria, and then you realize that Nigeria is doing a lot to combat human trafficking. And then I know the population is very large and you cannot cover all the places. The government cannot cover the whole of Nigeria. Because when you look at the prosecutions that has happened in Nigeria, it's a lot. Because I remember last year, we talked about the spiritual babies, and then one of the baby factory was closed and one church closed. Because the difficulty is the fact that the trafficking involves churches. And for people believe in churches so much. So I don't know what can be done. Is it possible to get organizations to assist in Nigeria, especially with the awareness? Because when you look into it, you will see that people are not all aware, and hence they fall victims of trafficking. Because there is a lot that Nigeria is doing, but they can't, the government on its own, it cannot cover all of it, because many people don't know. And I mean, the geography of Nigeria is very large, and unless if we get assistance, especially on the awareness, I think let's try it, we'll see where it will get us. Thank you.
Si, ce que je sais, moi, de la présence des Chinois et des questions de trafic, c'est qu'en Côte d'Ivoire, ils sont beaucoup de maisons de massage. Et dans ces maisons de massage, ils font aussi beaucoup de filles qui sont dans ces maisons ne viennent pas là librement. Elles sont victimes de trafic. Et le cas que nous avons eu en justice dont j'ai eu connaissance, ce sont des jeunes filles mais qui venaient, elles, de la Philippine. On leur avait promis du travail dans une boîte de nuit. Quand elles sont arrivées, celui qui les a amenées à retirer les passeports, il les a obligées à se prostituer. Et l'une d'elles a pu s'échapper. Et c'est comme ça qu'elle s'est retrouvée à la police et cette boîte de nuit a été fermée. Le propriétaire, celui qu'ils avaient fait venir, a été condamné, jugé et condamné. Ça, mais pour les Chinois, on n'a pas encore eu de cas en justice. Moi, on les soupçonne de faire venir des filles, de les faire travailler dans des salons de massage. Et ces filles-là, ce sont des filles victimes de trafic. Parce qu'elles ne sortent pas. Comme l'a dit Mina, elles sont dans des maisons. Ils sont plusieurs dans la maison, mais elles n'ont aucune relation avec le monde extérieur. Elles vivent donc en vase clos. Mais ce qu'on vient de dire ici va me permettre, attire mon attention et désormais je ferai plus attention à ces phénomènes. Peut-être même qu'on pourra demander au parquet d'ouvrir une information pour essayer de voir clair. Merci.
Thank you. The woman behind you now.
Allô? Merci. Je félicite toutes les intervenantes. J'ai une question pour Madame Sougrati du Maroc. Elle a dit qu'au Maroc, le pouvoir judiciaire a un rôle essentiel dans la lutte contre la traite. Mais elle a dit aussi que les juges pouvaient interpréter les lois pour pouvoir englober beaucoup plus de cas. Donc, à ce propos, je voulais demander si le Maroc, en matière de lutte contre la traite, n'a pas de texte spécifique. Et c'est pour ça que le juge va interpréter. À mon sens, il aurait été bon qu'il y ait des textes spécifiques. Parce que si on permet au juge d'interpréter systématiquement les lois pour pouvoir englober d'autres cas, je pense qu'il peut y avoir des dérives. Merci.
En fait, au Maroc, bien sûr, il y a une loi qui précise, une loi qui explique c'est quoi la traite, les conditions, les formes, et comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure, comme j'ai décrit, toutes les mesures de protection, les mesures de protection pour les victimes. En fait, quand j'ai parlé de l'interprétation des articles, je l'ai dit dans le cadre des droits de l'homme. Parce que, bien sûr, il n'y a pas qu'un seul cas, il n'y a pas qu'une seule forme de traite. Chaque fois, on trouve et on découvre une autre forme qui n'est pas expliquée dans la loi. Et nous, comme juges, on ne doit pas se limiter à ces conditions et ces formes qui sont précises dans la loi. Sinon, cette personne, elle va être inculpée alors qu'il est victime. Vu que, je parle du Maroc, la Constitution du Maroc dans la préambule, elle parle de la suprématie des conventions internationales et de la loi internationale sur la loi locale. Ce qui fait, si on est convaincu, si le juge est convaincu des droits de l'homme, il est convaincu du droit international, il doit essayer d'expliquer, d'interpréter cet article pour sauver une personne et ne pas inculper la victime et faire de la personne, du criminel, une personne victime ou innocente.
Well, thank you so much for this lively discussion. We're going to break now and have lunch and return at 2:30.